model we're sending. This is part of Lyndon Johnson's so-called Great Society. It's the greatest misnomer of policies in American history. The Great Society was anything but great. Black family formation was much higher in the 1950s and 60s than it is today for a set of policies that was designed to help black Americans. And it's not just black Americans, it's all Americans. We have a 25% epidemic of fatherlessness in the United States right now. If you grow up in a fatherless household, you're 8 times more likely not to graduate from high school, 10 times more likely to end up in prison or to have a mental health disorder when you graduate. So we're paying for that. So the first policy I would say is stop using our taxpayer money to pay people to do the opposite of what's best for them. It goes for other areas too. We pay people more money not to go to work, more money to stay at home instead of to go to work, more money not to repay your student loans than to repay your student loans. More money, actually get people off drugs. The anti-drug programs in the inner city are giving away needles and crack pipes. That's not aid. That's not compassion. That's cruelty. And the same goes for single mothers who we're incentivizing to stay as single mothers rather than to actually embrace the nuclear family. And so a few years ago, I was a biotech CEO. That was what my first major business was that I led. It was a multi-billion-dollar company. I led it as CEO. 7 years in, George Floyd dies. You guys might remember this. There's these violent riots across the country, what the news media taught you were peaceful protests. And there was a demand that I make a statement on behalf of Black Lives Matter, BLM. I refused to do it. That created controversy. I ended up stepping aside from my job as a CEO to write my first book, Woke Inc. But one of the reasons why I didn't, I don't think that's the job of businesses. Businesses should not be getting involved in politics. But one of the reasons I didn't do it was that BLM, one of its core tenets was calling for the dismantling of the nuclear family structure. Why would I support? So just because you call yourself Black Lives Matter doesn't mean you're doing anything to help black lives or any lives. And so we have to stand for truth. And every great country in human history, the nuclear family, go back to Aristotle, talked about the state, the government in ancient Greece should be based on the household. Every great society ever built was built on the backbone of a strong household. We're not exempt from that. To the contrary, that's what this country was also built on. And many immigrants to this country who come legally share those same values, but they're swooned into, I would say they're bamboozled into voting for a political party that I think has been actually outright destructive in its objective of maintaining the nuclear family. So that's the first basic step of how we do it. Stop using our money to pay people to do the opposite of it. And that alone, I think, will be a big step forward. It's a great question, man. What's your name?
Ryan.
You have kids yourself?
Yeah, these 3.
Oh, these are yours? Oh, okay. Good. Thanks for bringing them, man. All 3?
All 3 of them.
You brought all 3 of them? Okay, good to meet you. Thank you for coming as a family, guys. Sir, in the back. We'll go to the back and then we'll come to you. Yeah, right there. Yeah, sir.
Hey, my name is Mick.
Yep, good to see you, man.
Good evening, everybody. Like, what's your, how do you hope to not get completely paralyzed? Like, like if the votes go as they go, if you win,
Yep.
it's going to be 50-50. How are you going to, how will you get things done? What's your plan?
Yeah, so let me say something about this. I'll say 2 things. One is most of what I want to accomplish as U.S. president is actually going to be reforming the executive branch of the government. So I'll tell you what I mean. Today the dirtiest little secret in American politics and American government is that the people who we elect to run the government, they're not even the ones who actually run the government. It's the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., the managerial bureaucracy, the people in the 3-letter agencies, the FTC, the SEC, the FDA, the DOJ, the FBI, the God knows what, the EPA. It's the alphabet soup. That's really where most of the political power is exercised. So as your next president, my top objective is to shut down that deep state. Not to reform it, to shut it down. 75% mass firing of the number of federal bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. That's what we get done by the end of my first term. Shut down agencies that shouldn't exist. As your next president, I'm the commander-in-chief. We'll move our own military to protect our own southern and northern borders too. Protect this homeland, not any other one. So the promises I'm making on this campaign, and we can go into them in more detail, those are promises I get to keep as your next president without going through the morass of Congress, which is itself a broken institution. So much of what I want to get done if I'm in that office, we get in reform by attacking the bureaucracy. That's the war I'm going to wage. Not some pointless foreign war in Ukraine or wherever else, but a war on our own shadow government right here in the United States of America. So that's how I'm going to be effective as your president without working through that morass. Now I want to make an aspirational statement, but I think is achievable. If you make me your nominee, and that's what I'm asking you here to do, if I win the Iowa caucus, I'm your nominee. If I'm your nominee, I'll win the next election. I don't want to win it in a 50.1 election. I want to do what Ronald Reagan did in 1980. Deliver you a landslide election that actually unites this country. A lot of this campaign, I've talked to left-wing media, right-wing media. I don't draw those distinctions. If a protester walks into this event, we'll give them the floor. They get to ask the question too, as long as they sit down and hear what everybody else has to say in return. We go to college campuses where traditional Republican candidates don't go. I've gone in this campaign to the south side of Chicago, to Kensington, the inner city of Philadelphia. America First includes all Americans, not just those who agree with us. And here's what I would say is, I think much of the narrative of national division, I'm now convinced a lot of that is manufactured. You see the cable news media? Sure. Turn on your social media? Sure, it looks like it. But 80+% of us in this country, the overwhelming majority of this country, shares the same value sets in common. If you ask most people in America, do they agree that 10 things here? God is real. There's 2 genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. It's just not. Parents should determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind. Capitalism does lift us up from poverty, and we shouldn't apologize for it. There's 3 branches of government in the United States, not 4. Our U.S. Constitution, it's the strongest and greatest guarantor of freedom in human history. You get to speak your mind as long as I get to in return. These kids get to grow up and achieve whatever they want with their own hard work and commitment and dedication without anybody standing in their way, regardless of their skin color or their political beliefs. You ask 80% of this country, we share those values in common. The things I'm saying, they're controversial not because they're false. They're controversial not even because most people agree with them. They're controversial because they're true. And so much of that narrative of national division, I think, is created by the media. And it's the job of the next leader of this country to cut through that and to stand for what's true. And you know what? Half the 20% on the other side, they're people younger than me who never learned those ideals in the first place. We'll bring them along too. I'm the youngest person ever to run for U.S. president as a Republican. I'm 38 years old. And I think it is going to take somebody from the next generation, somebody with fresh legs, to reach and lead the next generation of Americans. That's why I'm in this. That gives me my sense of purpose. Young people right now, I'm in between, I would say, a prior generation and the next generation we're looking to lead. Young people are hungry for a cause right now. I think it's true of all of us. We're starved for purpose and meaning and identity right now, at a time in our history when the things that used to fill that void, faith in God, patriotism, hard work, family, those things have disappeared. And so half the job of the next U.S. president is the policies. I'll get those done. Through the administrative state, shut it down. But half the job of the next U.S. president is to revive our national character, to answer who we really are. And that, too, is something I believe I can do in a way. The last president to do that was Ronald Reagan. And I'll aim to do that as your next president. Ma'am.
So, as the president, what will you say to the majority of the protests that are that are out there, the Ivy League colleges.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about them?
Yeah, I actually went through some of those Ivy League colleges. I know that landscape. I went to Harvard and Yale. I mean, these are not environments I grew up in. They're not the environments we live in today. But these places have changed in the last 20 years. I'll actually answer the question by just telling you a little funny story about one of these protests. So the thing that the students are chanting is intifada. It's an Arab word for uprising, which many people take as also calling for effectively an attack on Israel's existence, which is disgusting, offensive, and wrong. But if you listen to some of those protests, there's actually funny video footage of this. Many of those students, they were actually chanting intifada. It's like not even the word that they think they're chanting. So it's interesting. Like, you get to the root cause. Do you really think these students are anti-Israel? That they know the first thing about who the hell Hamas even is? Are they Sunni or are they Shiite? Do you even know what those words are? Most of them not. Most of the politicians in the Republican Party don't either. But that's beside the point. They're not against us. They are lost. They're begging for direction. And so this is where I think the Republican Party has fallen short, actually. The way we're going to defeat this isn't through, some in the Republican Party are saying, well, censor them, disband those student groups. You're missing the point, is what I say to my colleagues who say this, is if you censor it, then it's like, oh, well, they're coming down and censoring us. Then you create an underbelly. That's where real anti-Semitism comes from. After World War I, there were speech codes in Germany. That's what created actually anti-Semitism that led to the rise of Adolf Hitler. We're not going to defeat our enemies by acting like them. We got to provide direction and leadership. We've been teaching these young kids, you want to go satisfy your moral hunger. I was just talking about that hunger for a cause. Say we go to Ben & Jerry's and order a cup of ice cream with some anti-Semitic sprinkles on top. I mean, that's effectively what we've been teaching them in this woke culture. It's no surprise they spew the same thing back out. We got to give them an alternative vision. So the left is feeding them race, gender, sexuality, climate, wokeism, transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism, anti-Semitism. We have satisfied ourselves with just criticizing that other side, but without offering an actual vision of our own. What do we stand for? Individual, family, nation, God. That beats race, gender, sexuality, and climate if we have the courage to actually stand for something. So what's my message to those students? Anti-Semitism is usually a symptom that something else is deeper and wrong in that society. I teach them about Israel, the founding vision of Israel. David Ben-Gurion, he was the George Washington figure of Israel. He's about 5 feet tall, but he was a mighty man. And he had a vision to say that, the hundreds of millions of sons of Abraham by way of Ishmael, they got 22 countries. Well, what about the sons of Abraham by way of Isaac? They get one. And they get to defend themselves. And they have a right to exist. And if they're attacked, they have the right to defend themselves. What would we do in this country if somebody came on our own southern border, although that is hitting a little close to home right now? What should we be doing as a country when you have an invasion on our own southern border? So the conversation I'd have with Bibi Netanyahu, he's the Prime Minister of Israel, would say, you smoke the terrorists on your southern border, we allow you to do that because you're your own country. And we're going to smoke the terrorists on our own southern border. Every nation has the right to exist. But you don't know what country on earth, I would tell the college students a hard fact. Sometimes the truth is a good place to start. 20% of Israel's population is Palestinian. It's higher than the black or Hispanic population in the U.S. And you want to know, pick the place on God's green earth where those Palestinian people live the best life they do on anywhere on earth. It's actually in Israel. And I think young people are receptive to that. But right now, our leadership and our movement, we've grown so lazy that we're just criticizing the other side. We're almost afraid to confront a generation that's actually just asking for our own leadership. That's what I'm bringing to the table in a way that I believe no other candidate in our party is doing now. We're doing this for the next generation, and that's what it's going to take for us to ultimately be successful. I'll also tell you something else about our politics. I've learned this a lot this year, is every politician dances to the tune of their biggest donor. It's a fact of nature. In my case, that biggest donor is me. I would rather speak the truth and lose this election than to win by playing some political snakes and ladders. Now, my bet is that's the winning strategy. But that doesn't belong to me. That decision belongs to you. So that's why we're here. This is how our elections should be decided, without TV screens or social media algorithms between us. And there's a reason the Iowa caucus goes first. So I appreciate those questions. It's a good one, ma'am. What's your name in the back, if you don't mind? Jeannie. I appreciate that. Sir.
Kind of a twofold question for you. You talk about truth and like objective truth. Somewhat related to that, objective value. What is it that gives any human life, white, black, Asian, Latino, objective value? And when does human life begin?
Sure.
9 months, 6 months, 6 weeks, act conception?
I'll give you my faith-based answer, and then I'll give you an answer based on logic. My faith teaches me that life begins at conception. All unborn life is life. And I think that that's because we're all made with God residing in each of us. That's the heart of my faith. And for those of you who aren't aware, my faith is different than the traditional faith background of people who've run for U.S. president. I'm Hindu, which is different than traditional Christians who have run for U.S. president before, but we share the same value set in common. I went to St. Xavier High School in Cincinnati and learned that lesson in a different way. They said we're all equal because we're made in the image of God. Great. It's the same value set that my parents raised me in. We're equal because God resides in each of us. My faith teaches me there's one true God. He puts each of us here for a purpose. That it's our moral duty to realize that purpose. That God works through us in different ways, but we're still equal. Born life and unborn life. We're equal because God resides in each of us. I had a very traditional upbringing. My parents taught us family's the foundation. Marriage is sacred. My parents gave us what you call a very traditional upbringing. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Divorce isn't some option. You just pick off a menu when things go a little wrong at times. That the good things in life involve a sacrifice. It's not just about this life. It's about eternal life. Honor your family. Honor your parents. We get to the 10 Commandments. I'm 14 years old in St. Xavier High School. What do they say? There's one true God. Don't take his name in vain. Observe the Sabbath. Don't kill. That's where the pro-life view comes from. Don't kill. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Don't commit adultery. Don't covet. It didn't feel like, for me, I was reading those values for the first time. And I do think those are the values this nation was founded on. I know it's not fashionable to talk about the 10 Commandments these days, but these are the values that most of us share in common. And I think half the job of the next U.S. president is to make those values of faith and family and patriotism and hard work cool again for the next generation. And I consider that part of my responsibility. So some of this is a faith-based background, but I'll give you logic, raw logic here. We all accept that life ends on the back end when brainwaves end. Nobody disputes that. That's widely accepted. My own background is in biology. I didn't give you my background. I started a biotech company. I oversaw the development of medicines. 5 of them are FDA-approved products today. One of them actually does reflect my pro-life views, that every life matters. 100% of kids with a genetic disease are born every year who die by the age of 3. I had the honor of working on a life-saving therapy that's now FDA-approved where 70% of those kids live lives of normal duration. So, to me, pro-life is womb to tomb, all the way. But anyway, my wife is a physician. She's a cancer surgeon at the cancer hospital at Ohio State. Medically and otherwise, everyone accepts life ends when brain waves end. So you have to say on the beginning, you have to apply the same rules. Life begins no later than when those brain waves begin. That's at about 5 or 6 weeks. So whether it's faith or logic that leads you there, that's truth. Unborn life is life. Let's get into the thorny issue of abortion. Right? This is considered to be the electoral loser for Republicans. It's going to be our doom and gloom in the election, they'll teach you. I disagree with that. I'll tell you what our way out of it is. I don't think that we have to hide from our principles. We have to stand for our principles. So I want us to lead the way in talking about being more pro-life than we actually have been. Policies favoring adoption, access to contraception, access to child care. And then here's one that I think is an easy one for us to embrace. Codify sexual responsibility for men into the law. What does that mean? If a woman brings a child to term, she can, at her sole option, make the man the principally responsible caretaker, financially and otherwise, of that child, if it's confirmed with the genetic paternity test. Now, it's not about men's rights and women's rights. We're all in this together. And I'll bring up the case of, it was a real case brought up by Clarence Thomas, actually. It's a case of a woman who's pregnant and she's assaulted. And the unborn child died as a result. You find me one person in this country who'll tell you that that person shouldn't be punished for that death? I haven't found one yet. It says we share those pro-life instincts in common, but we haven't been doing enough to stand for our own principles. And that brings me back earlier, where I think the failure of the Republican Party, what do we stand for affirmatively? That's how we win, actually. And so I think that's how we win on this issue without compromising on our principles. And that's how I would lead this country as well. And answer your question? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Maybe we have time for one more question. Sir.
Hey, Vivek. My name is Mohit. So I came into this country 30 years ago. I think, like your story, Indian American, through my hard work, I'm probably now in the 10%, top 10% of this country. You were mentioning about the youth, and, I came during the Clinton era, and I'm seeing a softening of the youth.
Yeah.
I lead global teams, and I see the youth in other countries versus the youth I'm managing in U.S. There's a different work ethos.
Right now there is.
There is.
It doesn't have to stay that way, but I think you're right about that right now. There's also a loss of national pride in this country. And even if you go to where my parents came from, where you came from, India, there's almost a reversal of national pride versus the United States of America, which makes me sad today. 25% recruitment deficit in our U.S. military right now. 60% of Gen Z says they would sooner give up their right to vote than to give up their access to TikTok right now. That's where we are. So we have a loss of national pride in this country. And I think that loss of self-confidence, that's where we are. So how do we address it? Well, look, in the educational system is where this begins. I say shut down the Department of Education. That's the head of the snake. They're using our taxpayer money to tell these local schools they have to teach nonsense, racial, gender ideologies, and the whole nine yards. Otherwise, they don't get that money. I say no. Give that money back to parents who then get to choose where they send their kids to school. End the teachers' union so public schools can actually compete with private schools. Make our educational system be about the achievement of our students, not about perks for teachers' unions. If you're going to teach it in the classroom, put it on the internet. If you don't want to put it on the internet, don't teach it in the classroom. And then revive true civic education in this country. I think every high school senior who graduates from high school should have to pass the same civics test that every immigrant has to pass to become a voting citizen of this country. I don't think that's too much to ask. If we demand that of our immigrants before they vote, I think we should demand it of every high school senior before they become a full citizen of this country as well. So we got to expect more of ourselves. Now, I don't blame our youth for this. I blame ourselves for this, for failing to provide the leadership that we actually need. Our inner animal spirit in this country, it has been domesticated. It has been tamed. It has been whipped into submission by this new culture that celebrates victimhood, actually. We teach our kids to be victims, celebrates victimhood, and penalizes excellence. Our culture of excellence in this country has leapt oceans to lift up places like China, while their culture of Maoist victimhood has come all the way back here to hold us down. And when we rallied behind the cry, many of us did, I did, to make America great again, we didn't just hunger for a single man. We hungered for the unapologetic pursuit of excellence in this country. We got to unleash that inner spirit. I think it's going to take a president now from that next generation to do it. Thomas Jefferson, he was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. And he actually invented the swivel chair while he was at it, believe it or not. That's that founding spirit. We're the pioneers. We're the explorers. We're the unafraid. The people who will not be stopped from achieving the maximum of our God-given potential. We use words like merit, meritocracy. I talk about this often. What does merit mean? It means you can achieve the maximum of your God-given potential without anybody standing in your way. Not a government, not a man, not a system, not anything else. That's America. And I think it's going to take a president to revive that national character. Answer who we are. That's who we are in this country. And you guys have a choice to make in about 17, 18 days on January 15th. Let me just ask you just before we part ways by just a show of hands. Who here was in the last cycle a staunch supporter of Donald Trump last time around? Good number. I want you to open your eyes. If you think, first of all, they're going to let this man get anywhere near the White House again, I want you to open your eyes and see the truth. We'll look back 18 months from now and say, what the heck were we thinking? Will we be shocked? Or will we say, oh, we should have seen that coming? They're selling us the rope today that they will use to hang us tomorrow. Do not fall for their trick. We love the man because he got this fight started. But now it's our job to finish it. The America First movement, it does not belong to one man. It does not belong to Trump. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you. To we the people, the citizens of this country. The people who we elect to run the government better be the ones who run the government again. I'll shut down the deep state. The people who we elect to government, including the U.S. president, owe an obligation to the citizens of this nation, not another one. You deserve a president who understands that. Now, I'm in this to take America First to the next level. You got the future of America First sitting right here. I'm asking you to do the right thing for our country. It didn't start in 2016. It started in 1776. George Washington was the first America First conservative. We're 250 years in. I believe we still have 250 years and then some left to go. I don't want to be the generation that squanders what our founding fathers gave us, and we're not working with a lot of time here. My kids are similar age to yours. My older son is. If our kids are in high school before we get this right, I don't think we have a country left. That's where I think we are. My wife is saving lives every day, but she's in this with me because we want to save the life of this country. That's what's at stake right now, and we're not working with a lot of time to do it. So I'm asking you guys to do your part on January 15th. 30 minutes of your time to save this country. I'm asking you to share what we've talked about here with 10 people each who aren't in this room today. Bring them out to the Iowa caucus too. And if you all do your part, I don't think we have to be this nation in decline anymore. I don't think we have to be at the end of the ancient Roman Empire. I think the truth is, as a nation right now, we're really a little young, actually. Going through our own version of our adolescence. Figuring out who we're going to be when we grow up. That's how I'd like to see it. So when you view it that way, it makes sense again. You go through your adolescence, you go through that. We were talking about adolescence in college campuses before. You go through that identity crisis. You lose your way a little bit. You say some stupid things, and that's fine. But we are stronger for it when we get to our adulthood. on the other side. So no, I don't think we have to be this nation in decline anymore. I reject that. I think we still can be a nation in our ascent. I'm not going to be the guy who walks in here and gives you some fake optimistic speech that it's morning in America, guys. I love Ronald Reagan, but I'm not going to tell you it's morning in America. It's not. But it can be. I'm not going to tell you the American dream is alive and well. I can't look young people in the eye right now and tell them that. It is not. It is alive and hanging on for life support. But it can be. So if you all do your part, that's what I'm asking you for. The system isn't made for a guy like me to do this. It's made for super PAC created creatures that read from poll-tested slogans. How do you think we got to where we are? There's a chance to do this differently. If you do your part, I promise you, my wife and I and our family, we will do ours to make sure, not in some fake politician way, but in a true way, make sure that our country's best days are actually still ahead of us. That we will look our kids in the eye and mean it when we tell them that you get ahead in this country, yes, with your own hard work, with your own commitment, your own dedication. And that you know what? You are free to speak your minds at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. And with your help, that is what we are going to revive to save our great country. Thank you for coming out today, guys. God bless you and your families and our country. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. What's your name? What's your name?
Katie.
Katie. Thank you for being here, guys. Have you done the Iowa caucus before?
Yeah.
Okay. You're familiar with the process. Yeah.
I'm actually the Commissioner of Elections here.
Oh, you are?
County. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for doing what you do.
Thank you.
How do you feel about my election integrity proposal? Single
I
day
actually
voting?
haven't read it. I'm
Okay.
Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
Single day voting on election day, national holiday, paper ballots, and government issued ID, with English as the sole language on the ballot.
Sounds good.
I think that's what we can get done. Set some minimal
The other
standards for
day,
this
I think
country.
I read on the internet you said that Joe wasn't going to be the nominee either.
No,
Is it going to be a big?
I think that there's something more devious going on right now. Yeah, I think there's something very devious going on within our party. They're not going to let Trump get anywhere near the White House. It's not going to be Trump or Biden. The system has decided.
Yeah.
I think that if we open our eyes and see it, then we really see what's in it. But I'm in this for a reason. We can't fall into that trap.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate it, man. Good to see you, man. What's your name?
Connor Miller.
Connor. Good. How old are you, brother?
17.
17. When do you turn 18?
September of.
So you can
I
vote
can-
in January.
I can.
In January, you know that, right?
I do.
At the age of 17, brother. I'm proud of you. Bring your other high school
Open
classmates
ears.
with you.
One of mine actually got to go when you were last in Franklin County. and
Oh, is
I
that right?
didn't. My basketball.
Oh,
coach.
here we are, buddy. Yeah,
I
this
tried
is
to
a
get a
little,
day off
this is a little
basketball
more
coach said
casual
no.
today. We did this today,
You
though.
know, I'm glad that it's a little more casual. I get to listen to questions that are more like prominent than
Yeah.
just your 10 truths. And I
That's
think
good.
it's
It's
awesome.
better that way. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Bring other young people out. We're going to do this thing. Did you sign up with us? Sign one of those things. We'll tell you exactly where to go. So yeah, it's good. Make it happen, brother. Hey, how old are you?
I'm 17.
You're 17 also. Similar boat.
Yes, yes.
You can vote in the Iowa
Yes,
caucus
yeah.
at 17
Yeah.
if you turn 18 before November. Good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. What's your
It's
name?
nice meeting you, Lily.
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 Proud of you for coming out and
you.
we're doing this for you. Keep you out of war and end the national debt. That's what I'm going to do for the next generation.
Thank you.
That much we can do.
Thank you.
So keep up the good work. Yeah.
Hi.
Good seeing you. Is this your?
That's my daughter.
It's your daughter? Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing her. I appreciate it. What's your name?
Tracy.
Tracy. Thank you for
brought
being
her.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, you brought her? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you then. Thank you. I appreciate that, Lily.
for
Thank you.
coming here.
Thank you. Spread the message in this community. Have you done the Iowa caucus before?
I have not.
We'll ask you to do it this time. It's a special opportunity in this state. You guys do it. Keep up the good work, all right?
All right. Thank
Take care,
thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. What's your name?
Renee.
Renee. Thanks, Renee. Have you done that before? Or
No.
First timer?
First time.
Good. Good. We'd appreciate that. Come out. It's our responsibility at this point. And this state goes first, and we're trusting you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have kids?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah. One, my son's actually a retired Navy SEAL.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Tell him thank you for his service.
Yeah.
Proud of him. You must be.
Yep.
It's great.
So my daughter's in Minneapolis, so, yep.
Tell him we've got his back. We've got
All
both
right.
their back.
Thanks.
I appreciate that, guys. Thank you, man. I
Good to see
appreciate
you
it,
again.
man. Hey,
Seen you
great
a couple
question on the
weeks
nuclear
ago.
family.
I don't expect
Thank
you to remember every face.
No,
You're
good to see you
working
again.
hard.
Sorry I didn't remember you.
No,
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah. Good to see you, ladies.
Hey, I seen something today about CNN trying to keep you out of the final debate or something like
Oh, I mean,
that.
the RNC is not running them, so the networks just pick it. I mean, they're not. They held us a town hall. They cut it off 5 minutes early for me, and then they're gonna. Yeah, they're actually. I mean, they're basically don't like the things I'm saying about January 6th or about otherwise, and they said that's dangerous.
Yeah.
They're taught to believe. So screw them. They don't get to decide.
Did you ever think you'd get called a white supremacist growing
I didn't
up?
think so. No, it was actually laughable.
Yeah.
But here we are. Here we are. It's the backwards country we live in. The good news is they don't get to decide. You do. Have you done the caucus before?
No, but we are this time, and
Okay.
we're caucusing for you. So
I appreciate
we're
that,
actually
guys.
signed up to be
Thank you.
precinct
Oh, that means a
coordinators,
lot.
so,
That means a
yeah.
lot. Thank you.
Could my kids
Let's
get
do
a
it.
picture?
Yeah,
with
let's
you?
do
We
it.
got one last time, and I'd love
Let's
to
do it,
get
ladies.
one
Yep.
with them.
Thank you.
Right here, girl.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. You want to join us?
Oh, yes.
Oh, go ahead. Get in there.
Come on, Alyssa. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing, guys. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be people like you that deliver this for us, man. Thank you. Spread the message,
Yep.
and we're going to do our part.
Excellent.
Thank you, man.
Hey,
Yeah.
hi there.
How you doing? Good to
Hey,
see
I went
you.
to, I was in Cedar Rapids months ago when you were there. Thank you.
I love that
At
place.
that time, I didn't come up to you, but now I wanted to come up to you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. What's your
Okay.
name, brother?
Craig.
Craig, you want to take a picture?
Yeah,
do
selfie,
it.
which I've never done.
Oh, we can do that. It's very
Where's
personal.
the-
There you go.
Excellent.
Thank
guy.
you.
Hey, that time you were on the national debate out there
Yep.
with the candidates, you took with Nikki Haley. You did that sign up. I didn't know if that helped you. Or how did you turn out in that deal? How
Look,
was that,
I
how was
mean-
that looked at?
I mean, by the media, they hated it.
Yeah.
But the media
But you
hates
know
it.
what? What you said right there turned me away from her.
Yeah, I mean, you got to speak the truth, actually,
Yeah.
right? And I don't
I
care if
didn't
you're a
know- I didn't-
Republican or
I'm not-
Democrat. The people of this country love the truth. The media hates it. That's the difference. But unfortunately, most people don't watch the real thing. They just watch what the media tells them. We've become a nation of sheep, but that's okay. We're in this for a reason.
Yeah.
And my view is I'd rather speak the truth and lose some election than to win by playing a fake game. But I hope that's the winning strategy, and I think we're going to win this Iowa
I hope,
caucus.
okay, but good thing you did that then.
Yeah. Have you done the Iowa caucus before?
Have been to what?
Have you been to the Iowa caucus before?
No, yes.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Good.
I'm
You
there.
know how it's done. You know how it works.
Sure, I do.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. We're going to keep speaking the truth to the end.
I
That's
live
what I would
south of Waterloo. So you
Oh, you
went.
do?
So you went to Vinton.
Thanks for coming all the way here, then.
I didn't go to Vinton.
Yeah,
You
okay.
were at Grundy
Yeah,
Center.
the
and you were
Vinton,
down at Toledo.
that Vinton restaurant, that family restaurant's awesome.
You like that place?
I love that place. It was awesome.
Okay.
So thanks again for coming. You
Yeah.
spread the message up there for us in that area, Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, et cetera. Thank you. If you do
Okay.
that for us, I'll be grateful. Thank you, my man. Appreciate you coming out, man.
Cool. Thank you very
Good
much.
seeing
Thank you
guys.
for making
Thank
the
you.
effort.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you. All the best.
Take care.
Love the hat, brother. Thank you. Are we going this way or going this way? Okay, got it. Thank you. Take care, guys. Thank you. Take care, sir.
Could I get a quick?
Yeah, let's do it,
Great.
man.
Thanks
Great
for
question.
coming out.
Did I address your question on
You
live?
did. You did.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was great and clear. That was awesome.
Thank you.
God
I
bless.
appreciate
Take
it.
care.
Thank you.
Have a
Pray
good
for
one.
our family and our country. Spread the message, guys. Appreciate that. Take care. Bye-bye. Take care, guys. Thank you, guys. So proud of you guys, and thank you.
Could we ask you really quickly about the Maine Secretary of State getting swatted overnight? Any reaction to that?
I'm not aware of it. I have to read the news on that. What happened?
The Maine Secretary of State, the person who took Trump off the ballot in Maine, got swatted overnight.
That his SWAT team went to her house? I have to know more about the circumstances of that to comment on it. Yeah.
Okay. And then just to follow up again, if you have any response to federal judge blocking the Iowa.
Yeah, so I want to read the law for myself, but it sounds like the criticism was that the law was sloppily written. So we got to get to the spirit of what's going on. Should kids be exposed to obscene material? They should not. I don't think there should be much controversy about that. Should parents have the right to know what their kids are being taught in schools? Absolutely. I'm a parental rights, access to education, hardliner. So I've been critical of Governor Sununu and others in New Hampshire. Parents have a right to know what their kids are being taught in school, and also if their kids are identifying as a gender different than their biological sex. Parents have the right to know. So that piece of the legislation should be non-controversial, and I think appropriately, as I understand it, should not be struck down. Now, should we do a careful job as Republicans in narrowly, actually accurately writing laws that pass the muster so they don't keep slopped down? I think it's up to Republicans to actually be far more precise, as I'm trying to be in this campaign, as I will be as our next president, to be precise in achieving exactly what we want the law to accomplish. So I favor parental rights. I favor parental rights to know, and kids should not be reading obscene material in schools. But that's the way we should be writing our laws. And I think that too often, I think we as a party have allowed the other side to define our objectives rather than us defining our own. And that's how I would approach it. So that's the answer. All opinions are fair game. I'm a First Amendment absolutist, but everything I said is still consistent with that First Amendment. And that's how I would approach it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care, man.